associated with that still needs some additional work, so that will be an October line item. And then there were 3 requests that had been submitted by the Public Works Department that don't appear on this list, but you have copies of them in your packet. There says draft, 2/11/2010, and the first is fund stormwater infiltration project, and the requested funds is $138,000. And I would turn it over to Mr. Carnavale and Mrs. Nicosia, who may wish to address this proposal.
Mr. Cannavale?
Just briefly, this is a 319 grant. It's federal money through the EPA that the DEP gets. It's to address a number of issues in town. This is all the one that was approved and funded, I think, 2 years ago, which we're about 80% done with. Janet will talk in more detail what it is, but all the $138,000, about half of that's going to be in-kind services. So our cash lay for that particular project is about half of that. There's another stormwater one at the end, which is kind of another must-do one. Some of that cost, I'd recommend coming out of that as well. Jim, would you like to talk to them specifically?
Are you on the go for this one? Okay. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I do have a little, like, PowerPoint thing, but I don't know if it's gonna work up here. I'll throw it on the desk and give you some indication. Basically, this is a 319 grant, similar to the one we did before. And this stormwater grants are to remediate stormwater pollution. That's the focus of the EPA's non-point source pollution program. Non-point source or stormwater runoff is the #1 leading cause of water quality is not meeting standards their water quality standards in Massachusetts. So that's why it's one of the well-funded programs that continues to keep getting rigorous funding from the federal government through the EPA. So where a lot of the grant programs, including the Lakes and Ponds program that we've done before, have now disappeared, this continues to be funded. And stormwater, as you know, is becoming more and more of an issue. So the major tasks of this project are outlined on the first page. To infiltration on North Street, which is deep sump catch basins, with infiltration chambers, and I'll show you some pictures of it, and some town hall LID information. Hood School, there's some infiltration projects at the Hood School. I'm going to show you a little bit of that. And then there's a town-wide rain garden program that is going to be administered by volunteers and as well as the North Reading Garden Club. And then there's outreach and education. But one of the things I wanted to show you is that when we designed these projects, we look, number one, we're looking to infiltrate stormwater. Why do we want to infiltrate stormwater? I think you probably all know it recharges the ground, stormwater runs off the surfaces and brings pollutants to our waterways. It brings the water to our waterways so fast that the groundwater recharge, by the time it interrupts the recharge that would feed our rivers in the summer. So it adds to flash flooding by having that water run off so fast to the rivers. It also decreases water levels in our rivers in the summer and adds to fish kills. So infiltrating stormwater, like how it happens in the natural, in the pre-developed world, is the goal of US EPA. But you can't always do it with, you can't bring back the laws. So this is the infiltration units that are going to be put on North Street. We're going to put as many as possible. We promised DEP would put in 3. We think that's an extremely conservative estimate. We think with the money that we've been allotted, we could put in up to 6. North Street, this area at Hillview, the road is broken up. It's going to need to get stripped and repaved. The There's a microsurface that's on there. Dick can probably give you more information on that. So we're taking the opportunity to, where could we do infiltration, and where are there issues in town where the road's gonna be dug up anyway, pretty soon. So that's one of the reasons why we look at North Street. And these units fit under the sidewalk, they'll recharge the groundwater without taking up, land at the Hillview Golf Course, which is where it would be along. I don't know, is this something you can see? You see
Somewhat,
pretty-
yeah.
Pretty well?
I get the
Okay,
idea.
that's just an aerial map of the section that we're looking at of North Street. There's the Hillview, Central Street, and this intersection. And we all know the sanding that has to get done on that street. So taking any water off that road is going to be a plus for the DPW. This is the Hood School. I remembered from being a mom there, the issues with runoff and icing. Mike Sorgan and I visited with Glenn McKay, the principal, to go over what their issues are with runoff. They have the stormwater systems that were supposed to be installed when that school was built. Many of the things are missing. Many of the storm drains that were supposed to be put in, including one right here, was never installed. So the water pools up and makes a big ice slick all along the Hood School parking lot. And then there are roof drains that exit, that come off the roof right at exit doors. That's the main exit for the walkers. I've fallen there myself. And this is the gym and the other exit in the back of the Hood School, where there's continuous dumping of the water from the roof. And when it's snow, all winter, it's a big ice slip. So for Wayne Hardacre, who met with us, it's also a big issue. So again, we're looking to do infiltration, places where there are issues, and Hood School also gives us the opportunity for an excellent outreach and education program for the kids. We'll do a contest, we'll have a website, we'll have T-shirts, there are pictures, they're gonna learn about stormwater pollution. Glenn McKay has met with his curriculum director, the superintendent of schools, and they're gonna help us, we're gonna help fund, and they're gonna help design a watershed program. So the Hood School has the icing problem, the runoff problem, which creates ice in the back of the school. What are we gonna do about it? This is a detention basin that will be put in near the driveway that will then stop that runoff on top of the surface, and through a raised drain, it will connect anything that would overflow onto the driveway into the existing storm system that's there. So everything is going to be professional engineered, even though there will be, once it's professionally engineered, then the students will come in and build the, put the flowers on and that kind of thing. So it will be well functioning. Then there'll be a rain garden put in the back. This is just a picture of a school in Illinois that did a similar kind of project where they had the kids build a rain garden area.
What's a rain garden?
Oh, a rain garden is simply just a depressed area where the rainwater can collect and sink in.
Yep.
And so that you're putting your plants, instead of a normal mound where you flower, you put flowers on a mound, you're depressing and putting flowers in more of a depression. So the rainwater can come in and filter down through the ground. And they're built you design them based on how long you want the standing water. Like in a house, you could deal with standing water for maybe a week or so. Mosquitoes take 2 weeks to hatch, so you never want the water to stand longer than 2 weeks if you had a big rainstorm. But in this case, the water's going to be sinking down pretty quickly because we don't want standing water in the play area. So there'll be this is a picture of like a cross section where you have a big area of gravel underneath the ground, and then let's say the gravel's this deep, the water will filter down and fill that graveled surface. But then at the top of that graveled area, there'll be an exit pipe. So if it were to keep filling up, it will then connect to the storm drain system. So you're trying to get the rainwater to filter in, but if there's so much rain, there's 7 inches of rain, it's going to hit the overflow.
Mhm.
And the theory of first flush is that it's the first inch of rainfall that carries the most pollutants. And so that by handling the first inch of rainfall, you've got your lion's share of pollutants. What happens after that first rinse
quick question if I could, Jim.
Mr. Vito?
On this indentation here,
Yeah.
the pond, whatever you were calling it, what happens in the winter if that overflow freezes up? Do we now have constant water there that's gonna refreeze over and?
The kids
I'm
get
just
to-
thinking
kids
of the
get to skate.
children in the schoolyard getting hurt.
Well, right now, you have dirt there, just like you have now.
Yeah.
So, right now, it's, the ground freezes and there's snow on the top that flows off. We would have a drain that comes up from down low, so that the water level we wouldn't allow ponding back here in the play area. We may allow ponding next to the driveway, in the swale next to the driveway, but you wouldn't allow ponding here. So you'd have it depressed to the point where the water could go in there and seep in, but you'd have a drain that would draw water down to the gravel area at a certain level, so you can't have an ice skating pond.
It's kind of like a bathtub overflow. It's kind of designed in there so if the water comes up, it's got somewhere to go rather than overflowing and causing a sheet of ice.
Which is what's happening now, is it's a
Right,
big sheet of ice.
But then if that froze at that overflow level, wouldn't you have an ice surface there?
That's down enough that it
Okay.
won't get freezing.
If you look at, there's one right here. Right here. See this?
Just barely.
Now that's very high. I know, we meant to bring a pen, but we didn't wanna make it too fancy. But that's awfully high. But
Yeah.
if there was something a little bit not that high, and you had bushes around it so kids weren't tripping on it, then the water would flow in and down. And because it's,
I like the theory, I just don't wanna create a hazard,
no, I know.
is what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, and this is something that would be professionally engineered.
But you understand what I'm saying? I don't wanna create a hazard where,
Yeah.
God forbid, some child trips and falls and ends
Yeah,
up
and this is
in a
more
couple of
going
feet
to
of
be
water.
And a quicker infiltration. We're not gonna be putting wetland plants in there.
Yep.
Next to the driveway over here, that's gonna be more like wetland plants. Kids don't go in there, they don't go in there now. It's wet now.
They might then.
You know,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a big wet mess now.
yeah, okay.
But this area in the back, we'll put there'll be there's gonna be some pavement in there, because right now, the kids just run over the dirt.
Yeah,
And it's kind of not configured for the way the kids now exit the building, the way they used to exit
Yep.
the building. That they developed a field right off the back of the school, and so now there's no straight shot, and kids are gonna go straight. Anyway, so.
It seems like there's a hazard there right now, the way it runs off the roof of the
Yeah,
building.
there's a pretty big hazard there right now, and, you could, I mean, there's, plenty of people have fallen, I don't know,
Well, you did.
fear factor, but, it's something that can get fixed. At some point, some capital money's gonna have to fix this. You can't go on the way it's going on with
Right.
it running down the road, because it's just gonna degrade the whole road anyway.
Would this make everything a little bit more aesthetically more attractive as well? Is that what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, and that's part of, well, that's what'll make the kids happy too, is that they're gonna be planting perennials and things like that. And we know we have to keep, there may be a big wide gravel area that's going to have to be on either side of that
Right.
sidewalk we build, that's the sidewalk, just because the kids come out in mass. They're not gonna say,
Right.
oh, let's walk, single file.
right, right.
Those days are over. So, then another part of the project is the garden club is going to do a demonstration rain garden on, it's either gonna be on the town common or over at the Damon Tavern, more likely at the Damon Tavern. I told the woman not to come tonight, it was too snowy. But this is just a picture of people putting one in at a library and what one along a road would look like if that was to be installed. Another part of this grant is residential applications of rain gardens. The grant runner right now, that we did shoreline restoration for, we recruited homeowners around the pond to restore their shoreline. And we worked with them, with labor, with students from Merrimack. We gave them plant materials, we helped design their restoration programs, and gave them money, not cash, but in plants. So this is a similar kind of thing where we're gonna try to get people to infiltrate stormwater on site. And there's a pot of money in there, I think it's $20,000, that's going to be